Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 18, episode 15. And girl, Jen said she was sick of Tamra. Wrap that lady all the way up. It was a glorious sight to see. So let's get into it. Y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I only got a few things to talk to y'all about as it pertains to Real Housewives of OC that caught my eye. So first up is Miss, what's her name? Alexis. So y'all know with last episode's revelation of Shannon showing the text messages proving that Alexis did say we and our, saying pretty much implicating that she was in on the lawsuit that was against Tamra and Shannon. She took to the internet to try to vindicate her name. So this is what she said, and this is coming from Bravo Snark side. So Alexis posted this. She says, "I'm not a liar. Yes, I remember this text, swipe left. A text is not a legal document, which was the original accusation. The text did not get the ball rolling. It was my attempt to stop the ball from rolling. It was sent to both Tamra and Shannon at Jim Bellino's request with hopes that they would stop attacking our family. And at the time, our family was already in shambles. For 6 months of our new divorce, our kids were broken. I never supported Jim suing them. And once he began moving forward with the lawsuit, I told him I will neither condone nor support it. I was never a part of the lawsuit. I am not a liar. Be sure to tune into the reunion as further evidence that I am not a liar is revealed." And then she shows the text. So, and the text is dated June the 27th, 2018. And this is what Alexis says she sent to Shannon. And it says, "Shannon, everything you and Tamara have said in the media since the divorce are lies. We have engaged an attorney and will be suing you and Tamara for slander and defamation. Your insensitivity and false allegations come at a very difficult time for our family. When you divorced, Jim and I left you alone and never said a negative thing in the media regarding you too. Just know that anything that you or Tamara say from here on out will be included in the lawsuit. You will be hearing from our attorney tomorrow, Alexis." So that's the same text message that Shannon read to us on the show, but I guess Alexis is trying to say that, like, that's not the case. I mean, she does have a point in the sense of saying that, like, there's no legal documentation saying that I was a part of this lawsuit, but it also is like, girl, you kind of playing semantics, because Shannon's whole thing was like, sis, you knew what was going on and you were a part of it. And when you're saying our family and what we're suing you or we're coming for you, it does make you feel like you are suing with your ex-husband against them. So there's that, Alexis. So the other thing that got the streets kind of talking is it looks like TMZ has reported that Alexis Bellino, ex-husband Jim Bellino, is now dating RHOC 15 cast member Elizabeth Vargas. Girl, what? Why they swapping partners? Why are we swapping partners back and forth in the OC? I hope she don't think this is going to get her on the show, because Elizabeth was not, like, entertaining to watch during season 15. She just wasn't. And so the last thing is, this was posted. So people are thinking that Gretchen might be coming back for season 19 of Real Housewives of Orange County, because she's been hanging out a lot with Jen and Katie, and she's also friends with Heather. So this page called Ranked Reality said this: "A Gretchen return for season 19 of RHOC makes sense for so many reasons. She's friends with Heather, Jen, and Katie, has unfinished business with Tamra and Alexis, and would bring another messy OC man back into the mix, her husband Slade. Don't let us down, bravo." Now, are y'all interested in seeing Gretchen come back? I do think it would be interesting, but I don't think she should be full-time. I do think she should be a friend of. I don't want them to keep going back and grabbing old housewives. I want them to start moving forward so we get to see new people. So in my opinion, I think they should keep Katie. I would say let go of Alexis, but if Gretchen comes back, then have Gretchen be a friend of and usher her into the group again. But I would like to see Gretchen and Tamra go back and forth, because Gretchen used to wrap Tamra up and Tamra couldn't take it. She just couldn't take it. But let's get into this review. All right, y'all. So I'm going to be honest. Y'all were not about to get this review. Because normally it takes me at least 2 watches of the episode to get my screen grabs and to like take notes and really understand the different arguments and stuff like that. But I have been on a Rings of Power like watch. So if you don't know what Rings of Power is, it's the Lord of the Rings show that's on Prime Video. And during the summer, I watched season 1 because I got bored and I really liked it. So then I just started watching season 2 because the whole entire season was released this year. I think the last episode aired in September, and like I'm on episode 6 right now. I need to go back and rewatch 6 because I really wasn't paying attention. But the only reason why I really know what's going on, shout out to the YouTube channel Nerd of the Rings. Because when I tell you that man be breaking it down, he breaks it down. But I've been like engrossed in that. That I was just like, do I really want to watch OC again? And then I was like, well, maybe I could do a double recap. But then I was like, that's a lot of editing and work. I didn't want to do all of that. So here we are. Also, y'all probably going to be upset with how I feel because I'm not on the I Hate Heather train. I'm not. That's my girl. So if you looking for that, this ain't the video for you. Okay? Okay, but let's get into the review. So the episode opens up and we have 3 different conversations going on at once. You got Jen and Gina poolside. You have Emily and Shannon and Heather having breakfast together. And then you have Katie and Tamra at the spa. So it opens up with Emily and Shannon having breakfast together. And Emily can tell that Shannon is like down in the dumps because of what happened last night. And so Emily's like, well, let it kind of roll off your back, go with the flow. Well, Shannon is like, girl, I cannot give you very like amped up energy and not be upset about what happened the night before where she got into it with Tamra and she felt betrayed by Heather. So we then have this scene with Katie and Tamra where they are at the spa. And so Tamara's asking Katie, so how did you feel about last night? And Katie was just like, I just don't understand why Shannon always leaves. Like, why is she always getting up and leaving? And I agree with Katie because I'm looking at Shannon like, you've been on this cast for 9 seasons. Well, with the show for 9 seasons. You can wrap Tamra up. Tamra is an easy read. We saw Jen eat her up at the end of this episode. You could do the same. I feel like when Shannon leaves, it gives Tamra the validation that like she's really getting to her. She did it when they had that sit down where she got up and ran to the bathroom. Now it's happened twice. So 3 times that you've gotten up after getting into it with Tamra, Shannon. And it's just like, Tamra not worth walking away. Cuss that lady out and eat your food and go on about your day. You know what I'm saying? So then Katie ends up saying, I don't get why she got a facelift when she was asking John for money to put on his bills. Because I guess John is saying that he gave Shannon that money because she was having issues with her bills. And so then Tamra ends up saying Shannon always has money issues because she lives beyond her means. I don't know how true that is because we've never had anything in the blogs where they talked about Shannon not having money or having money trouble. Because if she is living beyond her means, she must have a good system where she not getting in trouble with the laws of the IRS. So I don't know how much I believe that from Tamra, because then Tamra brings up the $595 scarves that she was giving everybody as gifts for going to London. We then switch from that scene to Jen and Gina sitting beside the pool, and Gina brings up how when she ran up the steps to go check on Shannon revealed a text message from Alexis. So Jen is shocked. Like, she's like, for real? Like, all of that? Like, and she was like, I don't understand. Gina's like, I don't understand. Tamra knows about this because Shannon sent it to her. Why Tamra and Heather are so like team Alexis. And so Jen says in her confessional, Tamra don't like Shannon right now. So that's why she riding on Alexis' side, because even if she has proof, because she don't like her, she not going to support her. And that is the truth. That's the truth. So then it goes back to Tamra and Katie at the spa, and Tamra was just saying how, Shannon is good at playing the victim. She's just really good at playing the victim. And I told Heather, watch yourself when you go talk to her, because she's going to think of a way to turn everything around and make you feel sorry for her. And that's just what it is. So then we end up seeing Heather go to Emily and Shannon's room to have breakfast with them. And so Heather walks in and she tells Shannon, hey, we need to talk. I didn't like how last night ended. I want to talk to you. And so Shannon says, you know what, Heather, I'm truly hurt about you bringing up that conversation that we had because I told you I wanted to keep it between us and that really hurt my feelings. And Shannon is looking at Heather like, why would you do that to me? And so Heather says in her confessional, Shannon did this to me last season where she said this was a conversation that was private and between us, but then I find out that you telling everybody about this conversation because Tamra told me that she knew about this conversation beforehand. And what I find interesting is because they flash back to the reunion where Andy was like, you're mad at Heather about exposing the vault, but it seems like you have spoke to everybody around you about the relationship issues that you've had with John over the years, not just with Heather. So she really didn't expose anything. And I think that's why Heather says she felt used, is because it's like she doesn't trust Shannon and Shannon doesn't trust Heather. That's why it's so easy for Tamra to play them against each other. Like if Shannon and Heather would come together and actually try to be genuine friends with one another, they would be a formidable duo. But it's the fact that they don't trust one another that it's so easy for Tamra to slither her way into the group and cause dissension between them. Because I'm not going to forget how the way Heather was on the outs with everybody because Tamra and Shannon was trying to get everybody against Heather last season. It was supposed to be a Heather takedown season 17, but it didn't work out for Tamra or Shannon because I thought it was crazy for Shannon to want to be friends with Tamra after for 2 years that lady was talking cash money shit about you, just talking trash about you on her podcast with Teddy because she was mad that you were able to stay on the show out of the Tres Amigas and she was no longer a part of the show. And then when she got on season 17 and she started off really going at your neck and then she realized it wasn't working, all of a sudden she wanted to make amends with you and you two were best friends. And then you had an issue with Heather when Heather was voicing how she felt like she was being left behind. And you were like, why are you trying to come between my friendship, Heather, with me and Tamra? So now that Tamra and Heather are aligned together, it's the reverse. They're doing the same thing that they did to Shannon. So everyone acting like all of a sudden Heather is such a bad person because she doesn't want to outright believe Shannon after the way Shannon treated her last season. It's crazy to me. Y'all have like this hive mindset that like when someone attacks a fan favorite, all of a sudden everything that has happened that has been done wrong to the person that's attacking the fan favorite was right to happen to them. Because now all of a sudden I'm seeing people being like, Katie was right to come at Heather and Gina's right, when it's like the last 13 episodes before episode 14, y'all was riding with Heather. Now all of a sudden, oh, Heather's fake and manipulative. Y'all can miss me with that. Miss me with it. So Heather ends up being like, well, why not just pay the man and let it go away? And I'm looking at Heather like, Shannon has already told y'all that she was willing to pay the man, but he's not willing to sign the NDA. And I guess everyone's just kind of like pay him without signing the NDA, but I think that's stupid. So Shannon's like, you know what? I'm going to go get my papers. All right? And so Shannon gets up and goes into the other room to get her papers. Emily and Heather are like, she reminds me of my mom about going to get papers. Next thing you know, you have Shannon bringing back like these loose leaf sheets of papers with information that she wrote down on them. Emily and Heather are dying because they expected Shannon to come out with like an Excel spreadsheet or something. That's why Emily's like, you don't know what Excel is? Do you have Excel? And they were just laughing. And at first I thought it was mean, but then I laughed too because I'm like, Shannon, this is really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like, I hope you're not taking these papers to the courthouse. I hope you do have it in an Excel spreadsheet. And then Heather is like, even when I'm annoyed with Shannon, I can't be too mad at her because then she does this stuff like this. And it's like, I love her all over again. And so they laugh at it. We move on from that conversation and go back to Jen and Gina. They start talking about the whole mammogram situation and Heather being upset. Gina feels like it's BS and that like Heather just wants to be mad about something. So then Jen brings up how Heather texted them about not speaking about, I guess, these two other people, and they show the text message. And so Jen was like, I didn't feel the need to bring it up because she told us not to bring it up on camera. So then Gina takes the time to throw Heather under the bus because she was like, Heather's just been on one lately talking about me, talking about you. And Jen's like, what are you talking about? She was like, well, Heather ended up calling Tamara on when she was at Neiman Marcus because she saw your dress that you wore to the tea party, and it was the Dolce & Gabbana dress, and it was $2,000. And so, and honestly, I wouldn't have thought that dress was $2,000. That gave very typical sundress. But, she called Tamara to talk to her about it, and we get a flashback scene of them talking about it on the Sprinter. And I said, wow, Gina, you really throwing Heather under the bus because you're mad about this situation. But it wasn't last episode you was talking Cash Money-ish about this lady having glam with Emily. When I tell you this whole entire group is hypocritical, especially when it comes to this Jen situation, because everyone's like, let's not talk about Jen's money issues, but everybody is talking about her money issues, and then they're throwing each other under the bus when they find it convenient for each other. Because I'm like, okay, so now Jen's money problems is none of our business, and we're talking trash about Jen. But Gina, you were just talking trash about that lady the other night. When y'all were getting ready for the dinner the night before. Okay, so then we flash back to Katie and Tamara having their conversation, and they talk about the whole Ryan of it all. And Katie pretty much says that, like, she's worried about Jen. She's like, I've been there where I've just listened to what my husband says and I agree with everything, and then when the bottom falls out up and under you, you're lost with what should you do. So I hope Jen is being smart about this situation when it comes to Ryan. I was supposed to say this in the spicy corner, but if you want to know my thoughts about Tamara and this whole like she on the spectrum thing, I did the drama video, so I'm gonna feed in the thumbnail. It's one of my most recent videos, and it is time stamped, and I'll probably put the link to it in the description box below. But if you want to know my thoughts, just check that out. See all the ladies meet in the lobby to get on the bus because they are going sightseeing and then breaking up into smaller groups to do other little things around the town. So they get on the bus, they're on the top part of the bus, and everyone's taking pictures, having a fun time. They got on tiaras, they got on capes, and they're having a good time. Next thing you know, Gina brings up the whole mammogram situation with Heather, and Heather's like, okay, like what do you want to talk about? And Gina's like, I'm trying to understand why you brought that up and why you didn't tell us how you were feeling and why you held on to it, especially when you texted us saying that you didn't want us to talk about it. And Heather's like, no, I texted y'all saying I didn't want y'all to talk about these two specific people, and that's it, but you could have asked me if I was okay. Then Shannon chimes in, and she's just like, we feel awful because we thought everything was okay because we heard you screaming yay, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, we just didn't know. And Gina ends up being like, we just want to understand why you held on to it. And so Heather's rebuttal to Gina is like, girl, you the one that brought it up on the bus. I ain't questioned none of y'all about what happened the night before. You seem to be the one more hurt by it now. And so Gina's like, yeah, because I'm your friend and I'm trying to understand how to be a friend to you. Like, I feel like you have all these high expectations of what a friend is supposed to be. And honestly, the power dynamic of Gina's and Heather's relationship, it's just not going to work. Heather has way more money than Gina. Gina is insecure when it comes to Heather and her money because she always feels like Heather is speaking down to her. Gina also, to me, feels like an opportunist because it seems like you don't really like Heather, but you still want to be around her. As well as, I think Heather liked the fact that Gina was somewhat like a fan when she got back on the show during season 16, following her around, going to New York with her. So that kind of like stroked Heather's ego. But honestly, after this season, they don't need to be friends like that. Like, I leave it alone. I don't want to hear about this in season 19. So then Heather gets mad and she's like, this is BS that you even bringing this up like that. And so then Heather's like, you're saying that I shouldn't have expectations about our friendship. Like, I shouldn't expect you to have my back when there's a girl, meaning Katie, that says she has dirt on me, and you laugh about it and tell her to bring it up. And then they do a flashback of where Katie was sitting down with Emily and Gina, and they laughed about it and was like, ooh, girl, you gonna get in trouble. But Gina didn't tell Heather. I feel like that is why I don't understand why all of a sudden everyone is acting like Heather is such a bad person to have issues with Katie. and Gina, when it's like, no, Katie specifically came on this show to have an issue with Heather because she felt like Heather was being like funny with her at Sutton's Christmas party, and she was bringing up this tea about the paparazzi. Then Gina knew about it back in December, but you wait until like February or January to tell me about it, and that's supposed to be your ride or die and your friend right about now. Yeah, I'm looking at you funny, and we've been friends longer. So then Gina then brings up trying to do a rebuttal, being like, well, I would expect a friend to defend me when you're on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and he tells you to figure out who house is the cheapest. Gina, this was a non-issue because your house is the cheapest. You are the poorest person. Well, no. Jen is. Jen is now. But at that time, girl, you didn't have no money. And if we are looking at houses, your house is smaller than everybody's house on the cast. Even with Jen moving into Ryan, your house is still the smallest. You had to kick Travis out so you could give your kids their own rooms. So, and what was Heather's response supposed to be? Because Heather's response was, that's mean. I don't want to, I'm not saying anything. And then Emily chimes in, I just think she wanted you to defend her. How was she supposed to defend her? Well, they were like, well, maybe you could bring up that she owns her house. Okay, and your house is still cheap. So then Heather is like, I'm not understanding what's going on because Gina says, like, you know, she's a proud homeowner. I was like, Heather's like, I liked the comment when she posted about saying, amen, Gina, you're incredible. And then Gina hearted it. So where was the issue? Like, if you had issues, you should have told me. And Gina was like, well, I'm working on telling you about this now. And Heather's like, yeah, because I tell you every time I have an issue with you in the moment. And I said, that is true. That is true. So then that's when Heather is like, man, this is BS. And then Tamara's like, this is exhausting. And Heather's like, yeah, it is exhausting. And so Gina's like, okay, I'm exhausting. And so she put her shades on and it's like, it's whatever. So the bus ends up making a stop. And we see Jen, Emily, Gina, and Shannon get off the bus and go do what they're going to do. And then Katie, Heather, and Tamara stay on the bus. And Heather's still pissed because she's just kind of like, what was I supposed to say to that man? I said I didn't want to play the game anymore. So I thought the game was shady. So I didn't say anything. Like, why the bitch tripping? Like, why is she tripping? You know? And so then Gina's on the ground, off the bus being like, I'm not going to bring up anything about my feelings because Heather is a control freak and like, you're not allowed to have your own feelings. I've never been gaslit this much. Girl, I can't take Gina. I can't because what? Because you brought up something that's a non-issue, bro. It's a non-issue. Do I feel like Heather was doing too much about the mammogram thing? Yeah, girl. Like I said about Emily, if your feelings were hurt, speak up, say something. But for Gina to pull something back in the archives that happened in 2023 and we're in 2024 and now you have an issue about this? Girl, that's crazy. You brought up something that happened last season. Why didn't you address it last season? Why are you addressing it now to have like a one-up on somebody? And it really wasn't even a good one-up. Said the groups broke up. I probably would have went with Shannon, Gina, Emily, and Jen. The food that they were eating looked good. The French fries looked great. I thought the pictures that they took were cute. We saw Heather and Heather's group. They went and got chocolate. They looked at diamonds. They went shopping. They threw a dig at Gina because Heather said some brand. She was like, well, no, Gina said this was and something. And Tamara was like, Gina know what that is? And Heather was like, yeah, I was kind of surprised too. So then we go back to the other ladies and they're taking these medieval time pictures. And while they're taking the pictures, they're having a fun time. They then start talking about Heather again. And they were like, how are you feeling, Gina? And Gina was like, it just felt harsh. Like, it just felt like really harsh. Like, she just dismissed me. You know what I'm saying? And then after they take their pictures, you know, Gina's like, everyone's bringing up everybody's business. Like, Tamara and Heather are just like being really mean. And so what's her name? Gina feels like ever since Tamara and Heather started being cool, it seems like she's bringing the meanness out of Heather, the same way she felt about Emily. And so she brings up about how how Heather called Tamara about Jen wearing a $2,000 dress. And what's funny to me about this is, and I was talking to one of my mutuals about this, the only reason why everyone is so annoyed, especially fans, when it comes to people talking about Jen's finances, is because people like Jen. If Jen was somebody that nobody liked, everybody would be okay with talking about her finances, because we are not going to act like it doesn't make sense that you spent $2,000 on a summer like tea dress when you don't have a job. You don't have a job. You're not making that much money doing the whole yoga thing, and you're relying on this man who might get in trouble with the federales, okay? Might be in trouble with the FBI. Like, but it's because people don't like Tamra that they are okay with acting like what Ryan is going through or what he might be attached to isn't that bad, and Jen shouldn't be worried. When I'm like, if you were a real fan, you would be happy for Jen calling out Tamra, but you would also point out the inconsistencies of her relationship with Ryan. Like, she should not be with Ryan. That man doesn't really care about her like that. The way he be cheating on her. And then on top of that, now his name is a part of a federal case where someone embezzled $17 million from somebody. I would be weary of that relationship. Fan or not. Like, I'm looking at Jen like, I hope you're making smarter decisions and you are using this OC check and hiding that money away from Ryan, making sure he don't touch it. We have is the ladies going to dinner. So they get to this really nice restaurant. They find out that they have onion rings. They all order, I guess, the steak. I said, y'all don't want to diversify your palate. So while they're sitting there, next thing you know, they asked Shannon about her daughters, and they're just kind of like, oh, like, Shannon, when are you going to go see your girls? I guess they were in Paris. She was like, well, they're just going to take a train here, and then we're going to meet up. We also see Heather, Tamra, and Emily order espresso martinis. Now, mind you, Emily was talking about how she had all these body issues, but when they bring out the cup, it's a pretty small, like, wine glass or martini cup with the alcohol in it. And she's like, girl, give that skinny cup to Heather. I need a big girl cup. So you only use your body issues when it's convenient for you to get at somebody. This group is hypocritical. They're hypocritical. So while they're sitting there, Jen ends up asking Heather, do you have an issue with the way that I was dressed at Shannon's like tea party? And Heather was like, no. She said, well, I heard that you were talking to Tamra about me spending $2,000 on the dress. And Heather's like, yeah, you know, I did. She was like, well, yeah, I called Tamra up because I was in Neiman Marcus and I saw it and I saw that you spent $2,000 on a dress and I was concerned. Now, can I say that that's BS? Probably. You got Gina being like, that's BS. Heather's just mad that she got caught. What do you want her to do, Gina? Not apologize? Because I'm like, or do you like, I don't know what Gina just wants Heather to like get raked over the coals so badly, because I'm like, okay, she copped to the fact that she did call Tamra and tell Tamra that she was talking about Jen spending that much money on the dress and she only getting $6,000 in child support. And she owns it. She says, you know what, I can own that. I'm wrong. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm human. I messed up. And Jen was like, oh, okay. So she took it. And so Gina is mad that, like, I guess Jen didn't really get in Heather's ass about it. And I'm like, girl, what do you want? What do you want? Because then Jen brings up how she was like, last year y'all was talking about how I was wearing fake like brands and all of that stuff, and now this. And so then Tamara ends up being like, we were just worried that like you spending all this money. And so Jen is like, well, Heather's always in labels, and Tamara had a point. Heather got the money for that. You don't. Okay, so that wasn't a good like comeback, Jen. But then Emily says in her confessional that she feels like Jen does all this stuff thinking that she has to keep up with everybody when she doesn't. Because then Emily is like, so Ryan bought you the dress. And she was like, yes, Ryan bought me the dress. And they're like, oh, okay. So then Tamara ends up apologizing. So then Jen takes the apology from Heather, and then she switches her energy towards Tamara. And she was like, you know, I just don't understand what's up between me and you. Because in one breath, I think we're okay. And then the next minute, we're not good. And it's like we have really high highs and really low. Like, what's up with you? And so Tamara is like, I've never really lashed out at you, girl. They showed the flashbacks from last seasons. You was coming at that lady's throat. And so Tamara's whole thing is like, my whole thing was between Ryan and I, not you. And so Jen is like, it feels like you want everybody to think that I'm dating this scumbag and this guy that's a piece of trash, when why can't you just accept that he might be different? And this is where I have to call call BS on Jen. He is shady. Ryan is shady. Like, Jen is in this whole my man era. And a lot of women who was in that my man era either end up dead or in jail behind, or lose everything behind a man. And I'm looking at Jen like, you don't have that ability to lose anything, girl. You got kids, 5 of them to be exact. Like, I hope Ryan don't go to jail, but let's be honest. The fact that Jen cannot tell anybody what Ryan does, and the first time that they asked Jen in the beginning of the season what he does, she said nothing. So where is he getting this money to give you these lavish gifts? Like the sirens or the bells and whistles in your head should be going off to being like, okay, he doesn't have a job. I can't really tell people what he does. He hasn't really explained to me what he does, or when he explains it, it doesn't make sense to me. His money might be funny, and I need to make sure I secure a little thing for me and my kids. That's all I'm saying when it comes to Jen, because you riding so hard for Ryan, but if it comes out in the blogs that Ryan is getting locked up, what we gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because that's one thing that kind of annoys me about the fans, is like, everyone's acting like it's not normal that everyone is questioning Ryan's relationship with Jen and Jen and her money. Like, if that's what we all do, if Jen was in your friend group, you would be looking at her with the side eye. It's because y'all like her. And I had this conversation with my mutual that was just kind of like, it's because Jen is the underdog, and everyone loves a good underdog story. But I guarantee you, the moment that Jen is on top and she does something that y'all don't like as fans, y'all gonna be calling that lady everything but a child of God, throwing in her face about the eviction, about Ryan Shady's past and his businesses and everything. So that's why I'm like, girl, it's better to stay neutral, have your favorites, but hold them accountable and watch the show. Because I've seen a lot of people acting like Jen is the holy grail, and I'm like, y'all, chill out. Is she having a great season? Yes. Okay. Mama came to work. Jen came to work. She earning this OC check. Okay. This storyline, her whole situation, it probably garnered her at least a good more 3 or 4 seasons. So I'm not hating on Jen for that, but it's the fans that are starting to irritate me really bad. Okay. So then Shannon chimes in and she's like, well, Tamara, I have an issue because I sent you the text that I sent you that I found about Alexis, and I'm surprised you didn't tell anybody. And so Tamara's like, yeah, because I ain't really feel the need to. So then Emily was like, well, we're trying to understand why you going so hard for Alexis, and holding Shannon's feet to the fire. But here she has proof that Alexis was a part of this. So then Shannon is like, Tamara, I just want you to stop talking about me. And Tamara's like, I want you to stop talking about me. And honestly, Shannon ain't been talking about Tamara other than the things that Tamara has been doing to her. So shut up, Tamara. So then Tamara is just like, yeah, I'm over it. I'm done. And then we have a dual confessional of them both saying, I'm over it and I'm done with them. And so then Shannon gets worked up, walks away from the table. And then we end up seeing Emily and Heather in the bathroom with her. And she's just like, I'm not taking any more of Tamara's abuse and her coming at me. And I'm like, well, then Shannon cuss her out like Jen did. Cuss her out. Just cuss her out. Ain't like the lady gonna hit you. It is not like Tamara ain't gonna put no hands on nobody, because honestly, there have been many a times that Tamara should have got smacked in the mouth by people, but everybody don't want to put hands on people. But honestly, just a good pop to the face, and she's probably shut up. Now she might try to sue you because that's just what she would do, but you got to hit in. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. They all leave the restaurant and we see Shannon calls it a night early, and I think so did Katie, but the rest of the girls are having a fun night. And that's the thing I think is hard for some of the girls to stay mad at Tamara, even though they feel like Tamara is the scum of the earth at times. She's fun. And sometimes that counteracts someone being a dick is like if you can actually have legitimate fun with them. You just can't trust the lady. You just can't trust her. So it's the next day, and we see a scene of Jen, Shannon, and Gina in, I think, Jen's room, because they're all about to get up and go do stuff. And so we also see the scene of Tamara and Emily going to get smoothies. And so they're talking to Shannon, and Shannon and Jen are just having a conversation where Jen is like, how are you feeling? Because last night was last night. And Shannon ends up being like, this is what happens with me and Tamara. She cusses you out. She says all these negative things about you. Then she comes back and apologizes and makes you feel all types of ways. And so Jen is like, I feel the same way. So then when Emily is talking to Tamara, she's like, where are we we going to go with you and Shannon? Like, where it's so much venom towards her. When are you going to get to the point where, like, you're just, like, going to let it lie? And for some reason, Tamara talking about, like, she's tired of being the bigger person when it comes to Shannon. And I said, when have you ever been the bigger person with anybody, Tamara? What are you talking about? She's like, I'm sick of bending the knee for Shannon. I said, I ain't never seen you bend the knee for anybody, girl. Are you serious? Because Emily in her confessional is just like, she just doesn't understand why, like, Tamara has so much energy and anger and animosity to Shannon. I don't know either, girl. I don't. So then we go back to the scene with Jen, Gina, and Shannon puts a battery in Jen's back where she ends up showing Jen this text message of what it looks like Tamara was doing a background check on Ryan, where it comes out to be it wasn't a background check. So Shannon was like, I'm just sick of Tamara, especially with her digging, and then, she's digging on Ryan and you, and it's too much. And so Jen is like, what do you mean? And so Shannon pulls up her phone and comes out with this text message where I guess somebody, like one of their friends' names was a part of like some article, and they were trying to check to see if Ryan had his mortgage license. And so Shannon reached out to, Shannon reached out to Tamara. So then Tamara said, I can get someone to check for you. And then they took a screenshot. It looks like a LinkedIn profile, and then another screenshot to show that he wasn't active and he doesn't have a mortgage license. So that sets Jen off. Sets sis off. She pissed, okay? She's screaming. She was like, are you serious? Are you serious? This is giving single white female energy, okay? Putting a rabbit in the pot energy. Like, this is sick. This is madness. Okay, I said, Jen is done. She is done. Okay, she's sick of Tamara. And so Shannon was like, I'm just like, that's not who we are. And Gina was like, yes, it is. I said, yeah, it is. So what are you talking about? So when I tell you Jen was pissed, she was pissed to the point where production was like chasing after her because she rushed directly towards Heather and Tamara's room. So we see Heather and Tamara getting their hair done. And Jen walks in. She was like, so you ran a background check on Ryan? And Tamara's like, what are you talking about? And so they stopped blow drying Tamara's hair. Kudos to the girl who was flat ironing Heather's hair, because she kept going. She kept pulling that lady hair out and listening. I said, that's a real cosmetologist. Get the tea and do your job. And so she's doing her hair, and Heather is looking at Jen like, girl, I didn't even know your voice could get that loud, okay? So Tamara is like, what are you talking about? She was like, you ran a background check on Ryan? I saw it for myself. And so Tamara is like, show me what you're talking about. And Jen is like, no, I know what you're talking about. Like, Jen was upset. So then Tamara is like, I swear on my kids, I never ran a background check on Ryan. I swear on my kids. And then like 10 seconds later, she was like, oh, that's what you're talking about? That was not a background check. I said, what? So Tamara's whole thing was like, girl, it wasn't a background check. Someone asked me to check to see if Ryan had his mortgage license. And I said, I have somebody who could check that, who's in real estate. And that's what they checked. That's it. That's all it was. And so Jen is not hearing that. Heather is trying to get Jen to calm down because she's just yelling, and it's a lot going on. So Heather is just like, okay, girl, breathe. And so Tamara's clapping, yay, you're finally standing up for yourself, yay. And so Jen is like, are you serious, Tamara? Are you serious? Leave my family alone. We're happy. I'm happy. My kids are with me. My kids are happy. I said, that's a dig to Tamara because her kids are with her and they're happy, unlike Tamara's kids. I said, oh, okay, Jen. And so they're going back and forth. Jen is like, why can't Tamara just say, I'm sorry? Why can't she just be a real friend? Why you always got to be going behind people's backs? Like, really, I'm done. So then Jen walks out of the room. She comes back in for another round. And she was like, you know what, Heather? She's only your friend because she's in front of your face. But I promise you, she's talking behind your back. I think Heather knows that. I think all the ladies know that. I think, Jen, you were the only one that had real faith in Tamara. But when I tell you Jen was pissed, Jen was pissed. And then she left the room, and then Heather was like, well, that was a lot. And I said, girl, it was. That lady was 45 hot. She said she was mad. Okay? And I mean, she has a right to be. Now, I did hear rumblings that at the reunion, it got cleared up that Shannon somehow was also in on this situation too, that she put a battery in Jen's back to have her come at Tamra, but Shannon was also a part of it. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard about the reunion. Now, I'm interested in seeing the reunion. I'm actually excited. Even though they said it was calm, they said they got down to the bottom of a lot of things. And that's what I'm interested in, okay? But that's how the episode ended, y'all. Always remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts with me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, y'all get down in them comments. Let me know. And even if you don't agree with me, because like I said, I don't hate Heather. Y'all may, but I don't. You can still comment in the comment section below. Just be respectful. All right. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.